Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something really fundamental for visual storytelling, aspect ratio.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Totally. And this whole deep dive kicked off from a photographer asking, basically, how do I get that super, super wide Xpan look, that panoramic style, without, shelling out a fortune for the camera?
And it turns out our sources found a really neat shortcut. It's all about comparing what your phone likely already does with its ultra-wide setting.
Which is often CinemaScope, right?
Exactly, that's what we found.
Yeah.
Comparing that standard mobile feature against the almost legendary Xpan ratio.
Yeah.
The goal isn't just tech specs. It's about understanding how these different shapes, these dimensions, really change the feel, the narrative of an image.
And the first thing that jumped out was pretty surprising, actually. A big mobile brand, one lots of people use, has baked this setting into its camera app for years now.
Right under our noses.
Yeah. Sometimes it's called movie, sometimes it's wide.
Yeah.
But what it's really doing is, it's giving you a shortcut to how pros think about film. It's not just, like, zooming out.
No, absolutely not. It's adopting a whole cinematic language. So the source material starts with this experiment. The researcher grabbed a newish phone and took a picture of something simple, a little plant, a caladium Humboldti, using that movie setting. The big question was, what are the actual specs of the image it produced?
And the sources got really specific here, didn't they? The pixel counts and all that.
They did. 4080 pixels wide by 2296 high. But look, the raw numbers aren't the main thing.
It's the ratio, isn't it?
Exactly. You divide those, and what do you get? 2.39 to 1.
2.39.1.
Or sometimes you see it marketed as 21:9.
Yeah.
That right there is the modern standard. It's CinemaScope, it's anamorphic, it's basically every ultra-wide movie you see in the theater today.
Wow. So this setting on your phone, it's directly linked to Hollywood blockbusters.
Pretty much.
But hang on, for listeners maybe not deep into film tech, what is anamorphic really? Why does 2.39.1 feel so epic?
Well, historically, anamorphic lenses were clever bits of glass. They squeezed a super wide image onto standard film.
Ah, okay. Physically squeezed it.
Yeah. Then, when projected, another lens unsqueezed it. Boom. Massive widescreen. It instantly signals grand scale. Think Lawrence of Arabia or, more recently, Dune. Huge landscapes, often making people look small within them.
So that little caladium plant, shot with the movie mode, suddenly gets dropped into this vast cinematic context.
Precisely. And the sources noted that right away in the original phone picture, you see letterboxing.
Those black bars at the top and bottom.
Yep, they're part of the package, even though the image is already wide. And this is where it gets interesting psychologically. The ratio gives you grandeur.
Right, the epic feel.
But the bars themselves, they change how you relate to it.
Okay, this I think is really key. We get that 2.39.1 feels big, cinematic. But the sources dug into how that wide space is used, even for just a plant. It can suggest things like isolation, right? Or tension.
Absolutely. Think about composing in that shape. It's so wide. The plant, or any subject, often ends up sort of isolated. There's so much empty space, negative space.
It forces the subject to feel kind of alone in the frame.
Yeah, singular, maybe even solitary. And the way you experience that feeling is heavily influenced by whether those black bars are there or not.
Right. This is the really cool part. Same cinematic ratio, but take away the bars. And what happens?
Well, the researcher did just that. Cropped away the black bars. The pixel dimensions changed a bit, sure, but the ratio, still 2.39.1.
Okay.
But that simple crop, according to the sources, totally shifted how the viewer connects with the photo.
Let's unpack that. It seems subtle, but it's a powerful visual trick. Same content, same epic ratio, but two feelings. With the bars, the letterboxing. It's like a signal, a boundary. It says, this is separate. You're watching something.
Exactly. You're watching a film. It emphasizes that you're looking at a contained story on a screen, like a stage. You're the audience, outside the frame.
But take the bars away and let that wide image just fill your phone screen or your monitor.
Then it feels, integrated, more direct. It takes over your vision more completely.
The source described it as the difference between watching a scene
and feeling like you're in the scene.
Yeah.
The frame stops being a window and starts feeling like an extension of your own view.
So as a photographer or filmmaker, that's a huge choice. Do you want that acknowledged movie screen feeling or total immersion?
It's a critical decision.
Yep.
Are you observing or are you participating visually?
It makes me think about when TVs went from the old square 4.3 to 16.9 widescreen, everything just felt bigger, more involving. This 2.39.1 is like taking that even further.
And that desire for even more width leads us straight to the next phase of the experiment, moving beyond CinemaScope.
Towards the Xpan, the really, really wide one.
That's the one that sparked the original question. Going from 2.39.1 to Xpan is, like you said, a big jump. It's not just wider, it feels different.
More demanding, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps. So the Xpan, for anyone unfamiliar, comes from this iconic Hasselblad camera from the late 90s. It could shoot normal photos or flip a switch and shoot these incredible panoramas on the same roll of film.
Ah, very cool. A cult classic look.
Definitely. So the researcher took that phone image, the 2.39.1 Caladium, and cropped it again, pushed it even wider to match the Xpan standard.
And what's the magic number for Xpan, the ratio?
The technical ratio is 65.24, which works out to about 2.708 to 1.
Okay, so noticeably wider than CinemaScope's 2.39.1.
Significantly wider, yeah. And when the researcher cropped the phone photo, the pixels ended up being 4080 wide by 1506 high. Do the math.
Let me guess. 2.7 something.
2.709 to 1, bang on. They basically created an Xpan image from a standard phone shot with a couple of crops.
Incredible. So what's the feeling difference? If 2.39 is epic, what's 2.7?
The sources often use the word aggressive. It's intensely dramatic. CinemaScope gives you subject and background. Xpan. It really emphasizes the sheer scale of the environment itself. Your eye has to travel across it.
It maximizes that horizontal journey. Grandness, maybe even more solitude.
Exactly. It often pushes the main subject even further off to the side, making it feel smaller, more enveloped by the surroundings.
So that little plant, which looked maybe a bit lonely in 2.39.1.
In 2.708.1, it feels properly tiny, almost swallowed by the landscape. Negative space becomes a huge part of the story, conveying vastness.
Wow. Okay, so tying this back to the original photographer's question, how do I get the Xpan look? The answer is, you probably already can.
You likely have the tools. It's about understanding the visual intent. You've got these two powerful cinematic options right there.
So for you listening, when you're framing a shot on your phone, this choice matters. 2.39 versus 2.7 isn't just numbers.
Not at all. It's about deciding on the feeling you want to evoke. Choosing CinemaScope, that 2.39.1.
Movie mode look.
Right. That's choosing something familiar, widely understood as cinematic. It feels contained, perhaps like a well-told story within a frame. Epic, but still somehow managed, you know?
Okay, contained epic. I like that.
Whereas choosing Xpan, the 2.7 ratio, that's more of a statement. It's deliberately unconventional, aggressively panoramic. It really pulls the viewer into the width.
It feels less contained, more expansive, maybe even overwhelming.
Potentially, yeah. Intensely immersive. It suggests a world that might stretch beyond the frame. So the core takeaway is this. That shift from 2.39 to 2.7, it's not small. It fundamentally changes the visual language.
It dictates the mood, contained drama versus overwhelming scale or solitude.
Precisely. And realizing you can control that with a built-in phone setting and a simple crop, that's incredibly empowering for anyone taking pictures.
It really is. Storytelling efficiency right there.
So my final thought for you, the listener, really start looking at the frame. Notice it. Whether you're watching a movie, scrolling through photos, or taking your own, that frame is doing work.
It's never just neutral.
Never. CinemaScope, Xpan, even standard ratios, they're all choices shaping how you see scale, emotion, the relationship between things in the image.
Which leads to a final provocation, maybe building on that idea of watching versus being in the scene. If just removing black bars can change your psychological distance,
yes.
What other subtle visual tricks are constantly shaping how you connect with media? Think about how different framing makes you feel the scale or the loneliness of a subject. That feeling from the Caladium photo, it wasn't the plan.
No, it was the frame.
It was the frame, deliberately chosen. So keep exploring those dimensions. That's where you'll find the hidden layers of the story.